Welcome to Patriots
Hello.
Corner with Dr. Hill Law. I'm here with Joe. We're going to try this, do a new thing today, try to do it as a two host instead of just me with a co host and do a more free form format than I've been doing. So today, the subjects we're going to just be covering looking at the Texas redistricting and what's all going on there. And then also, we might get into some other subjects like tariffs or uh, whatever else, the Epstein Files or anything that I've kind of covered that in my last two shows to death. So we'll see what happens. See how the show goes. Just kind of flow from there. This is the first time we've done it this way. Eventually, we might be looking at renaming the show, but also still check out the website that's going across the screen in the bottom. Please like, share, follow. Help us get this out there so more people can get in. Also, your engagement is very critical to the success of the show. So please comment. We will answer the comments. One of us will try to monitor them and let, if once we see it, try to answer your questions. So let's go ahead and get started. I know we were going to go with the Texas redistricting plan, and I think it's kind of funny because the left is just going crazy and saying all this stuff, and it's like, and that's funny. All these Democrats decided to. Obviously, it's probably got to be pretty. That traffic's got to be pretty good down where you are now. That all the Democrats have left town.
Yeah,
and and
I
of course
mean,
they leave Austin and go to the most gerrymandered state in the United States, Illinois. But
exactly.
go ahead and let you introduce yourself, and then
My
we'll
name
get
is Joe
going.
St. Clair. I graduated from Berkeley Law in 2023. I speak 8 languages, and I did 4 deployments to Afghanistan. I was also hostage to the Maduro regime in Venezuela. And I do think it's interesting, but I also wanted to ask you real quick. Did you realize that I don't see the TikTok live right now. Do you?
I don't have it on TikTok. That's
Okay, okay.
uh, because remember we were talking about how TikTok has got the thing now to where you have to be 50% gaming. So, like, I could probably go live today. One of our lives, I could probably go TikTok, and then it would ban my application. Then I have to wait 30 days and redo it. So right now, I've been doing X, Twitch, Facebook, YouTube, Rumble. Now, I'm not since I didn't invite you in as a separate person. I don't know if you can actually if you can put in your own channel from yours or not. You might be able to add one on, like if you wanted to add your X or your Twitter, your TikTok on or whatever. But also, I don't like to do TikTok on here because this is the one place that I can talk about transgender surgeries and stuff like that, or I can talk about gay rights or whatever, and I don't have to worry about being censored or being shut down just for speaking my mind, not being racist. I've gotten strikes on TikTok just for saying the word transgender because I'm a male, and I've not had that issue on Facebook or Twitch or YouTube or Rumble or X. I can say gun, I can say bomb, I can say killed, dead. I don't have to. I don't have to censor my speech to unalived or pew pew or jab.
Well,
I can talk about vaccines. I don't have to say jab jab. Yeah.
yeah, and well, I think that's ridiculous that anybody ever thought the idea that censoring speech was a good thing, because you might say I'm gay, I'm bisexual, but obviously, I don't think that I fit the mold of what the far left or what Democrats say I should be voting for, because obviously I support and I uphold the Constitution, and I truly, strongly, firmly believe that that is the angle that Trump is taking, and with the originalists that he has brought into power. And I think our best opportunity for returning to essentially faithfulness to the Constitution is Trump.
Yeah, and it's funny how they say that he like some. I saw this. There's this thing going across today on the. There's somebody saying on TV today that what was it? Oh yeah, that Trump was deleting parts of the Constitution, or they removed parts of the Constitution from the government website. And I'm like, no, they haven't. And it's kind of funny. That's what I was going to get into here. I've got this part I did do a little bit on the script just for it, but it's funny is while Democrats are screaming about gerrymandering and that Texas is stripping the Constitution and the Voting Rights Act, the truth is that the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals ruled in Pettyway versus Galveston, a county in a case in 2024, that the Voting Rights Act protections do not apply to racial or ethnic groups that have combined their ranks to form a majority in a district. So they're not doing this, wasn't because Trump told them to. It's literally because they were told there were certain districts that they had to undo because of the court case. I mean, Assistant U.S. Attorney General Harmeet Dillon wrote, adding these districts are nothing more than vestiges of an unconstitutionally racist-based gerrymandering past, which must now be abandoned and must now be corrected by Texas. Now, obviously, this was due to the fact that this was a case in Galveston County on a county commissioners, but it's still applied to all maps, whether it was on a county level or state level. And so, I mean, literally, Abbott referred to the constitutional concerns raised by the DOJ, alluding to Dillon's letter. And then House Speaker Dustin Burrows and Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick released a joint statement that said both chambers were aligning their focus to ensure redistricting plans remain in compliance with the U.S. Constitution. So what many on the left are calling unconstitutional or labeling racist in reality is contrary to that. It's they were previously that. Now they're fixing the system and doing the maps more based on voting, voting minorities than the populations than it is the actual race of the populations per se.
And honestly, if you go into Google and you search on AI, Google AI will help you. You can search which party benefits from gerrymandering more, Democrats or Republicans, and they'll tell you generally it's Democrats. And this idea that this is some, line drawn in the sand that they're crossing, that they've somehow broken all form and function of previous, traditions. It doesn't matter, because at the end of the day, it's not the Republicans who started this. They're actually just responding to the gerrymandering that was created in the Democratic base. And now that it's being used against them, I'm not a fan of it.
Yep. I gotcha. Great. I forgot right before I did this, I did the two-factor authentication for my Twitch. Now it should be live for my Twitch because it approved me for monetization on there. And I was wondering why it was saying I wasn't live on there. And that's because it had to reauthorize. So hopefully now it finally went live. It may not this time because we're already live. So may just have to be out of that one this time and not count it. But so, yeah, it's just hilarious that they're going by all this stuff. And yeah, and that in fact is, it's like, California goes, oh, well, fine. If you do it, we're going to do it more. Well, you already only have 9 Republican districts. You have already gerrymandered your state to infinity. If you have way more conservatives, especially with all the Democrats who have moved out of California in the last 10 years. You have way more conservatives than you have conservative districts. You have 9 conservative districts out of 30 some odd Democrats. You're going to tell me that you can take any of those away? No, then that truly would be gerrymandering to a point of being unconstitutional. It's not like we're taking away a bunch of Democratic districts in a state that's majority Republican. But I mean, to say gerrymandering is something that's new or something, it's literally the Democrats and Republicans do it. Whatever party is in power when it comes up to the time to do it is what happens. So it doesn't matter who it is. They decide to the party in power takes control, that has control. When it's time to redo the districts, that's what they do. Did you turn your camera off or? As I noticed you disappeared there. It shows you're there. Oh, yeah, you turned your camera off. Okay. Did you turn your camera off?
I didn't do that.
Oh, that's
Can
weird.
you,
All right,
can you
I
hear
turned
me?
it back on. I don't know what happened, but yeah, I just thought it was funny that they act like this is something new. That this is something shocked that they didn't when obviously this is what I mean, this is literally done. The Democrats do it. They've done it in California. They've done it in Wisconsin. They've done it in Illinois, uh, California. And anytime another party gets in power, they do it to benefit their party. It's whether it's right or wrong. It's literally politics as is. It's they're making like it's this big shocking event that's never happened before that shouldn't happen or something, that it's all about race and stuff. This has nothing to do with race. This has not, because actually, believe it or not, if you actually go back to the previous map, there was only 0 districts were majority black. And I forgot what, I think it was 4 majority districts were Hispanic. This adds 2 majority Hispanic districts and 4 majority black districts. So it actually gives blacks a majority district where before they didn't have any. So to try to say that this one's more racist when obviously people can argue that, okay, because the population of Texas is like 38% white, 40-something% Hispanic, the rest is black and Asian or whatever mix, that there's too many white majority districts, but it's also the fact of where the populations live too. It's where those populations spread out and live at that draws those districts up. But to add 2 Hispanic districts and 4 black districts that weren't there before, to say that it's based off of racism is just it's null on its face, because if it was racist, we would have added more white districts, not taken away white districts.
Well, yeah, it's identity politics as long as you vote blue and go Democrat. Because if you're Hispanic and you vote blue, then you're good. But if you're not, then obviously they don't like you. And same thing with me. Like, I dated other guys. They don't like me on the LGBT side. And I'd say that's true for most people who have been hemorrhaging from the Democratic Party for like the last 5 years. So they've seen that they've been slowly and effectively pushing everybody out, saying, unless you virtue signal to us, unless you say what we want to, it's they want to grab power for power's sake, and they believe that they deserve to hold power, and therefore that's the outcome they want. Anything they do to lead into it is justifiable, and I think that explains 90% of what's going on in our country today.
Yeah, and no, I mean, I agree with you. And the thing is they're running on their party platform. In their party platform, less than 30% of the population believes in, but they want to try to make it look like it's more than 50, because they want to try to drag every other person who's more of a moderate blue dog Democrat that's more to the middle and force them to stay as Democrats versus being pushed into the Republican Party or as independents, because that's the people that have control of their party. When the reality is, and I'll tell you this, and Jesse, if he's still in here, he's a truck driver friend of mine from back before I went back, got my degrees, and I was truck driving and everything. And I drove all over this country. And one thing I learned is if you don't say Republican or Democrat and you just talk about social issues, more than not, you weren't that far apart. You might disagree on how to get there, but you can usually either agree to disagree or meet in the middle somewhere. You can understand each other's views, and they're not these far out views that the left pushes and all this stuff. That's not really where the middle of America is, and that's why they've lost. And now they're wanting the hill they're wanting to try to die on now is this Texas thing. And now also, I don't know if you've heard, ever since one reason why Congress voted to force the DOJ or whatever to give all the Epstein files away is because they also added another vote into that ruling that was to force subpoenas for the people that were involved in the Russia collusion story. So that's why they did that. And now, because a lot of this stuff is going towards the Russia collusion story, I heard somebody say, "Oh, they're all making all big about the VP having dinner with Kash Patel, Bondi, um, uh, the assistant district attorney, assistant AG or district AG. Forgot what his name is. Todd Blanche, and possibly Trump's head person."
There's an
And it's
undeclared civil war that's going on between those who honored the Constitution and those who didn't within our intelligence agencies, and they know who they are and they know who they aren't. And whether or not they can flat out say it, that's exactly what's going on. And you're seeing, reverberations and these waves hitting step by step as it hits the different levels of the intel community.
Yeah, I think, and while one of the discussions in their dinner, well, probably what is going, it has nothing to do with the Epstein. It has to do with the tape from the interview from when they interviewed Maxwell at the prison, like at the end of last month. One of the debates are going to be, hey, to release all of the unredacted tapes from that interview with Maxwell. And then I hear all these people on X and stuff. They're like, now Trump's transferred a pedophile to a minimum security prison. I'm like, okay, when he got her to agree to do the interview, or the AG got to agree to the interview, y'all were worried that he was going to give her a pardon or he was going to commute her, and y'all didn't care what it was to get the facts. But now that his name's not coming up in it, and she's gone from a max security in Washington, D.C., near where anybody can get to her, to being transferred out to a minimum security in Texas, where she's more protected from any of the people that might not want her to talk. Now all of a sudden, oh, Trump's being easy on a pedo. And it's like, make up your mind. He didn't give her a pardon. He didn't give her a commutation. What he did was he said, hey, if you talk, I will put you in a minimum security where there's a golf course and everything instead of this maximum security. I'll take you to one where you can maybe get some conjugal visits, or you can actually work a day job and get out during the day or something. But I can't let you go. I just can't do that. Period. I'm not going to let you. You've got to serve your 20 years, but I'll at least let you do it in a minimum security where you get to go outside. Because federal maximum security, they only see outside for 1 or 2 hours a day. Minimum security federal, because I actually delivered to one of them. There's one in South Carolina. They've got a warehouse where they recycle old hangers, and so they actually work in the prisoners work there in the warehouse, and they actually get to drive the box trucks to drop those hangers off at whatever store is buying them once they refurbish them, and they get to drive it to there. And they know they're not going to try to run away or anything, because if they don't, the maximum security side is just right across the way. And if they don't behave, they'll be stuck in there for the rest of their sentence and only get 1 hour a day of rec and sun. The rest of the time, they'll be locked in their 6x6 cell. And because I asked them, I'm like, y'all trust them to come back and not do? They're like, yeah, because they know if they don't, when we catch them, they'll be stuck in that cell for only 1 hour a day of sun for the rest of their sentence. And he goes, and obviously people know federal prison is not, you've got to serve at least like 90%, right? 90 or 95% of your time.
Federal Prison Tips is another TikToker. He helps people with that stuff. I don't know personally.
Yeah, I know it's a long time. It's not like state prison where you can get parole after 5-10 years. You have to serve a good percentage of your federal time before you get let go. Federal prison's a whole lot more. If you get 20 years, you've got to serve, I think, at least 15 to 16. It's not like if she had been convicted, if Maxwell had been convicted in New York or Florida on the state charges and got 20 years, she would have been eligible for parole in 5 to 10.
Right.
But with federal, it's 15 or more. But yeah, it's hilarious how now they're trying to say that, oh, Trump's going to step down, and they're talking about a coup on Trump and all. But no, they're not. I mean, this has nothing to do with them taking over Trump. And I'm sorry, but I've said this once before, and I'll say it again. If the Democrats had Trump's name that showed he was on the island and actually engaging in illegal acts, they would have leaked it before the election. Because I don't care what these idiots out here on social media say, no Republican would have voted for a pedophile. Somebody that you could prove is one, that you actually have physical proof, not innuendos and lies and made up half truths and mixed. Because people be like, oh, well, his name is on, Trump's name is on the bank statements or whatever. I'm like, Epstein was a financier. Trump is a real estate developer. Real estate developers require a lot of cash equity to build their projects. That's literally what Epstein did, was invest in businesses. I mean, he invested with countries. He bought from countries. He was friends with prime ministers and kings and queens. So because Trump's name is on his, in a mix of freaking banking transactions or financial transactions from in the 70s, 80s, and 90s, not past 2006, doesn't mean anything. It literally, oh, Trump's on a flight log from Florida to New York. Okay, they were flying for a business trip. The island is not in Florida.
That's why I also don't entertain that, because they've had 4 years to ask those questions, and they only care right now. I'm still asking these questions. I do care, but obviously I don't want any children to be harmed or trafficked or be involved in any kind of thing like that. But I think it's time that we recognize that obviously this is some sort of intelligence activity. This is some sort of program. And just saying his father had ties to Robert Maxwell, who was an owner of a multinational corporation who printed textbooks. And, he traces way back to World War II, where he had ties to the MI6 and to the OSI, which was the precursor to the CIA in the United States. So it seems like these kind of webs were built during that time, and it's almost as if it's the fact that there are both Republicans in the Senate and House who are not wanting to release records, as well as judges who are declining to make these subpoenas available to the public. It should show you that it's not Trump. It's not Trump who's blocking all this. It's the body of the government that's blocking it. It's the body underneath him. Maybe, perhaps there's some incriminating stuff, perhaps not. Perhaps there's a little bit of incriminating stuff, perhaps not. But let's say either way, if there was such an operation where a person who was engaging in, a sort of blackmail operation existed, would they not? Is this not how they would react? Right? We see how they're reacting. This falls clearly in line with how they would react. Deny. Epstein wasn't a huge. The only reason this became a case again is because Trump is in power now, and unfortunately, I'm a Trump supporter, but I'm not somebody who's going to say that everything that Donald Trump has done is perfect. So I find it entertaining that they get caught up in that, and they are not acknowledging the huge amount of evidence that came out from the intelligence community with Tulsi Gabbard.
Yeah, and no, I don't believe everything Trump has done is spectacular, but his overall what he's done, what he's been able to accomplish. And a lot of people I hear going, well, why didn't he do this his first term? Because he didn't know Washington. And a lot of people go, if we get back to the Russiagate thing and saying, oh, well, why did this stuff not come out in the investigation during his first term when it was happening stuff? Oh, that's because is when he got his first term, he didn't know Washington. So everybody he picked were the swamp, were the insiders, were the people that just want to go along to get along, who need to get along so that when they get out, they get those big cushy private sector jobs, or do they get those big cushy speaking gigs that they make $500,000 to go speak at a weekend retreat or something because they need the money. They're not rich. They didn't make a lot of money. They've been on a public servant salary their whole life. President Trump doesn't need the money. He doesn't even take a paycheck. So he can afford to ruffle feathers. He can afford to break the glass. He can afford to go after the deep state and stuff like that. Now, that's why they feared him his second term, is because by the second term, he knew who he could trust, who he knew what outsiders he could get in, he could put in to do what he needed done, or that were willing to go the lengths that they could to find the truth. And that's why we see now why they did not want Tulsi Gabbard to get appointed, because reason he picked her is not because she's a Republican, but because of the fact that the Democratic Party burned her because she didn't agree with one of their foreign policy ideas, and because how they pushed her out and burned her, he saw that, okay, if I put her in here, she is going to dig for trash. She will dig for dirt. She's not going to be afraid to take the heat. Same thing with Kash Patel. Same thing with Bongino. Same thing with Pete Hegseth. He knew that they were not going to be afraid to take the heat, that they weren't part of the establishment. They weren't part of the lifelong people that are literally the New World Order, One World Order, whatever you want to call it. And that's why they feared him so much getting back in. So when they couldn't take him down, when they literally created 34 new felonies at a state level that shouldn't even have been state level and all that, and couldn't get him there, gets elected. Now they're trying, and at the Epstein case, which only Republicans during the Biden administration were calling out and saying, hey, what happened to Epstein? What happened to all these girls? Where are the rest of the people? What about Clinton? What about this? What about that? Nothing happened. No words from the left, no words from mainstream media. CNN never even really talked about it. But yet Trump gets back in office, and all of a sudden it's all Epstein. After they lost that Supreme Court case for presidential immunity, and then they lost the Supreme Court case for the legal immigration, and that other major Supreme Court case recently happened back here. All of a sudden, in the big beautiful bill pass, all of a sudden they turned to Epstein, 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 Epstein. They're trying to make all this stuff up about Epstein, saying, oh, if it's Epstein. We know, like, somebody posted a picture of Trump and Epstein from like in the 80s and go, well, what about this? And I'm like, so what? He's standing next to Epstein in a black tie event in New York or Florida. They were businessmen. Nobody really knew who, except for people who participated in what Epstein did. Nobody really knew who he was until 2006. And getting back to what you were saying with him possibly being a intelligence apparatus, or whether he worked directly for them or with them, meaning he was a asset or whatever. He wasn't necessarily employed by the government, but he got paid by the government for information now and then, or whatever, or they looked the other way and didn't stop because that's the only way he should have been able to get away with what he got away with for as long as he did, was that the government was ignoring it, because he was getting them dirt on very powerful people. And that's another thing, is they're talking about wanting to release all of these files. What happens if one of these files literally has proof that Xi Jinping or Putin were on that island? You know, the type of international incident or what that could cause, but also the power it gives us over them. I mean, how are we going to release that? But I mean, obviously we probably don't have them on there. I'm just saying that it could be dirt on some big time people, and you can't just release that or how they got that, because then it gives away of who we're working with in the intelligence community. Because I mean, it just seems like there's no way he could have lasted 70s through the 90s without, 2006 without ever being caught. Just makes no sense to me. So, and then another thing is people are saying they're wanting to push for justice, but most of the victims are over the age of 20 something on out. So one, depending on, I know Texas just recently made the charge for rape or of a minor, or statutory rape or statutory molestation, an unlimited statutory limit. It used to be 10 years. I don't know what Florida's is, or the wherever that happened, what statute of limitations is, but for criminal, obviously usually there's no statute of limitations on civil, right? Civil's pretty much open forever. But the question is, do these victims really want to have to go relive all that when the person's already passed? You can't put him in prison for it. Maybe you can get some of the other, and especially if you can't get the other people in prison because it's past statute of limitations, depending on the state it's in, and it's only civil, do they really want to go back through and relive the worst time of their life for some money? I mean, what do the victims want here? If they really wanted something, the victims could come out and say who it was. They know who it was. They could literally come out and say, "Hey, this is who was there when I was there. This is who I slept with. This is who I was paid to sleep with." They could literally come out and say it, but you don't see it happening. Your mic went dead. Your mic's I don't know what's going on with your mic, but it's gone. I know I don't hear you now. I don't know if anybody oh, let me try to unmute you. It muted you for some reason. Well, I still can't hear you. That's your camera. I unmuted you. I don't know what happened. It doesn't even show you talking. Try your headset again. I don't know if that will work. I still can't hear you. I don't know what happened. It's weird. You were going fine and talking and working, and then it just cut out while I was talking there. So I don't know what's going on. But yeah, I don't know where your audio went to. I guess I had to figure out what happened there and get it going, fix it. I don't know. There, I've got it to, I mean, you can control everything, so I don't know. I don't see anything on my end that cuts your audio out. Everything's showing everything's working on this side. I don't know if it's on your end. If you want to try to put your headset in. Special access cut program. I don't know on what site with yours, because I've never seen it cut anybody's audio. I think it's something with, I don't know. Try leaving out and coming back in. Try backing out of the room, come back in, see if that helps. And then, sorry about the technical difficulties, guys. This is our first live show podcast I've done with somebody else on here, so this is my first time doing a co-host. So it for some reason cut his audio out, but trying to get him back in and see what happens here. But if not, okay.
Can you hear me?
Yep, there we go.
Yeah.
I think it was something to do with the system, or I think it was more to do with the system because
before, right?
Well, yeah, before I went on that little.
Can go wrong, will go wrong. Occam's razor. But those of us that have had a little bit more insight into the way the world works have a better understanding of the fact that, oh, that's just an audio glitch, right?
Yeah, but I've never had an issue with these sites. That's why I love doing this on here. And
it's miraculous that somehow my audio can cut out halfway through while we're discussing the Epstein Files.
But mine never cut out, so I don't know. But
yours never cut out.
But that's Rumble,
certainly true.
Yeah, but Rumble, Rumble's freaking community guidelines is that long.
I don't think it's an issue with Rumble. I think it's an issue elsewhere. But I'm not gonna get into that.
I think it's Restream, but who knows?
I think this is the best place we've got, and this is the most decentralized place we've got. So this is the best choice and option we have.
Yep. But what I was asking a minute ago is, I mean, the question is back to what I was asking a minute ago. The question is, if the victims wanted to say something, they could have come out. I mean, they know who it was. They know everybody who was on those islands. They know it was there. But the question then comes down to, even if they can come out, is it within the statutory of limitations to charge them, because I can remember it was only 5-10 years ago that Texas made an unlimited statute of limitations for child for you know what I mean, for the pedophilia.
This is the thing, is they love these kind of laws because there's such a gray area, and it's very, you know, he said, she said, you did this, I did that, and intelligence services love that. And if you've ever watched that movie with where they go to North Korea with who's that, Kim Jong-un, and it's called Dictator, and they're talking about honeypotting, right? Honeypotting is real. Honeypotting is real. If you think that Hollywood knows about honeypotting, certainly, absolutely, our federal government has. There's one thing that's true about our federal government, is that we are the richest, smartest, and most capable country on earth, and we produce the richest, smartest, most capable people on earth. If you don't think that they know how to honeybot with the best of them, then you're wrong. And unfortunately, their idea, I believe some of their allegiances lie more with their agency than with the Constitution. Because, like, for instance, if I said, hey, Dr. Hill, you're going to be known as Agent Shooter, right? And I give you a license to kill. How is that happening? How everyone knows this is nothing groundbreaking that I'm suggesting, but I'm saying, how does that work? How would that even work? So if you understand the notion that there's people out there who have that capability, and you do, then you understand that essentially what we've done is we've created you have an economic loop where you have a hierarchical society, but instead what we've created is we've created a independent, almost encrypted like state apparatus through the intelligence agencies, which operate and defend themselves and want to accumulate wealth for themselves, accumulate power for themselves. It's like when a tumor takes over a host. Personally, for me, I think God number one, me number two, three, United States, right? And I don't think that's the case with many of these people. I think that they have been weaponized and manipulated, tricked through various levels of, you're special if you come here, you get special permission to do this. Oh, you can do this and you can break this law without anybody knowing it because you did X, Y, Z. And it's all sanctioned by the U.S. government. Shh, don't talk about it. So you could just easily see, is that any different than a mafia?
And if you get caught,
stepped away from a mafia, and they'll never get caught. And
if they do, the state denies it. I was saying, but if they do get caught, it's denied. And yeah, no, what you're talking about, my favorite TV show about it was Lone Survivor.
Right.
Where literally because what people forget is they say, oh, the president's so powerful. No, he's there for 4 to 8 years. I mean, he doesn't even have the highest security clearance there is in government. There are black book level security clearances above him because they are only lifers know about it. Only lifers have that level of clearance. And because it's also because they need to set a separation of, I didn't know, I didn't see that going on. I mean, there's stuff even the president doesn't know about that's up there that has security levels above what they know because the fact that they're there 4 years. And then
the original EO 12333 sets out the classification system, and it sets out the idea of like top secret programs, and the idea that someone underneath the office of the president can create a special access program underneath the presidency that he is not privy to is inherently, it's paradoxical, it's inherently diabolical to our entire institution, and it's subversive to our democracy. The Iran-Contra scandal, it explains why we've had so many problems that we've had, because we've taken the rugrats off of a modern-day Praetorian Guard, which I know this wasn't the point of the topic, but it's funny that we landed here. Because I was talking about Texas law today, and you were leaning towards Epstein.
Yeah. And no, I got you. And yeah, no, it's the same thing. I'm like, the thing, I know it's not doesn't fit with it, but it's the truth. I mean, there's there are companies. Why? I mean, why did people think? Well, how was Musk able to be in all these cabinet meetings, and how did he get approved so fast without this background and everything? It's like he had a top secret, a secret clearance, above top secret clearance, because he works with NASA in the military. His company works on military projects and NASA hardware that's top secret, works on top secret projects. He already had the clearance. He didn't need the clearance. He had it. He had it
Well,
before. That's part of being a military
I have
manufacturing.
I have 3 levels of understanding. I've got my, caveman understanding. I've got my understanding as like grown man or a Christian, and I've got my understanding as somebody who's a high level intellectual. But I would say, like, to me, I do not care. The truth is what matters, and a system of secrecies and a system of matrix, that to me is infierno. That is hell. You cannot maintain that. It's impossible to maintain, and we're seeing the fallout of that right now. And I think that
Well,
if our government is involved in honeypotting and using children in some sort of sex schemes, I think they need to be held accountable at every single level. And no longer do we need to have people who are acting as modern day philosopher kings deciding the fates of others, where they can install, Patriot or Pegasus on your phone and plant evidence against you. Because even though, like, I hate to say it, it's like when you have such an agency or metaphysical construction that exists that wants to keep gathering more and more power, that it's taking over the host, as is the case in this situation, which I won't say what it is, then either it eats the host and takes it over, or it dies. I don't know. I mean, like, but certainly it's not compatible with me, because I'm not going to do backflips and go through their initiation, try to get into any kind of special access program. I think it's ludicrous. I think they weaponize people's individual humanistic characteristics against themselves.
well, one, at the level it's done, I agree with you. It doesn't need to be done, but because obviously, why do you think all the CIA and NSA guys are recruited from Harvard, Columbia, Oxford, Yale, MIT, the big ones that are all indoctrinated leftist propagandist colleges, and you wonder that's why they record from all of them. But as far as secrets, while I understand that we don't need to keep everything secret, but from being former military, and I know this, that if the American people knew about all of the close calls with terrorist attacks, knew about all the stuff that goes on daily that our country stops, the the it would fall apart. People would freak out. People would lose it if they knew about every single thing that goes on. So obviously, if everything is told out, then we also can't sneak up on our enemies. So there's got to be some level of secrecy. The problem is it's gone too far.
There's 8 billion. There's 8 billion people in the world. I don't know if all 8 billion are good. I assume they're not, just based on the bell curve of human behavior, right? I understand at least 20% of them probably have mounted towards other human beings. And they're also, I've done probably 2,000 things today. So 8 billion people times XYZ number of actions. And there's very, very limited information that's being put in front of me and you. And when it is, we have to analyze and ask ourselves, why is it? So I think the real question and philosophical point is that rather than externalize, either through, taking up arms and trying to control people through political force, is that we need to internalize, right? We're not here to, we're not like the Nazis. We're not like Hitler. We don't want to control and expand territory. We don't want to control and expand your bank account. We don't want to internalize and control and expand into your brain. We don't need to dominate you. We are already good on our own, and we're self-actualized, and we're individualized, and we're in harmony with the universe, and we're in harmony with God. So you presenting this false idolist, saying that in order to be special, and the only people who fall for this are people who don't feel that they aren't, like, don't know that they are. Every single person on earth is uniquely you, 1 in a billion. And I would say that, Where'd you go?
I was I was
Yeah.
playing with it. So like, if I want to do it to where it's just not both of us, and it's a
Okay. Yeah. So there's 8 billion people on this earth, and unfortunately, or rather fortunately, like you're the only you. So you have the impetus to be the best person you can be, and your purpose on this earth is to know yourself and to know everyone that you can't, like, love yourself. Like, and if you love yourself, then you'll love everything around you. But the system that they have in place of manipulation and lies and deceit, based on this lie that will protect you or you'll be special, is feeding into your own internal insecurity, and you won't save yourself. You're actually going to end up creating greater accurate harm, and it's going to cause mass suffering for everybody across society.
Oh, and I don't disagree with that, but I was just making the point that there's certain stuff that has to be kept secret from society, just because the fact that literally they would they would lose it. Society would break down if they knew some of the close calls and stuff that's gone on. Obviously, there's certain technologies we don't want getting out because we don't want people having them. Like, I know some what people still consider sci-fi or not scientific sci-fi anymore, but they don't want that technology getting out for purposes, or it's because that technology is just not perfected enough to where it's cheap. I
Dr.
know
Hill,
this is
let me
yep.
ask you a question. If something happened to you and you like got pricked and you got infected with the virus, but it wouldn't affect you, would you want to know? Yes or no?
Yeah.
We want to know. So it's not fair to say no other human can look at another human and say, I know better than you. You're going to react poorly to this. Therefore, we need to protect you from the truth. It's the only people who are doing that are people who are breadcrumbing and trying to feed you into their own false matrix and manipulate you. Unfortunately,
Do you want to go and tell everybody that how much messy nuclear fissile material is out there that's literally out in terrorists' hands, that we could literally have an attack any second? I mean, that would people would not intelligent people, but people who are not that intelligent or who don't have that much common sense would literally freak out and just start rioting and looting and being like, well, if we can have it go any second, then why be good? Why act? Why do right? And that's obviously I'm with you. They've taken the secrecy to a too high of a level, too far, kept too much from society as far as that goes. I understand a certain level of secrecy. Like, I know one of the technologies that they bribed us when I went in 2001, that they were in the army, they were bribing us with, because my clearance had already came back, had top, is almost as high as you can go, because I was dealing with microwave systems, launching multiple launching rockets, Patriot missile systems, all that stuff. So it was pretty high up there, and they were our drill sergeants towards the end of training were bringing out these schematic sheets saying, "Hey, look, you get to play with this if you go Green Beret, or if you go Delta, you can get to play with this." And at the time, I mean, I think now when I'm talking, at the time it was like $5 or $10 million a soldier. Now it's down to, I think, a couple 100,000. Maybe once it gets down to 5 or 10,000 a soldier, we'll start seeing all of our military wearing it. But right now, they only special ops teams in certain situations wear it, because of the fact that it's just too expensive. It's $100,000. You probably know what I'm talking about, snake suit or the snake skin. But they were showing.
There's more under the surface we don't know about than we do, for sure. It is getting close to 7 o'clock though, so I was thinking it's probably about time for me to go.
All right. Well,
how are you feeling?
that's fine with me. That's good with me. My mom's ready to leave. Next time I'll try to get, maybe we can try to structure a little for Friday. Maybe we can try to structure up a little bit more, just to kind of keep one between two topics. So, because obviously a lot of people, and then try to look at just get it more dialed in. Cause I've noticed, like, certain times when I go live, like today on YouTube, I've had hard. We've got it's shown like 1 or 2 viewers on YouTube total. The last time I went, it was like 10, but the time before that it was 80. It's weird. It just depends on the keywords in the keywords that are in the title, the description,
Right.
and then the tags. Just like this time, X only got 7. Last time I was like 40 or 50. Now my X page I just started, so I mean I barely got 2,000. I had to restart it. Before I started doing TikTok, my X was at like 10 or 12,000, but I kept putting it off trying to get it back, and finally gave in and started a new one. So I had to start over from 0 followers on that. So I've got almost 2,000 on it.
Well, it was a good talk. I'll talk with you later.
Yep.
I think it went well so far, right?
Yeah, everything went good. Other than our little technical difficulty, but other than that, yeah, everything went good, man.
Who knows? Who knows? Who knows? When you
Hey,
start,
we're both
when
figuring
everything
out.
goes wrong, when everything goes wrong like that all the time, and you know things I know, you got to ask, what the hell?
But no, I mean, we're both know that, like, I'm still figuring all this stuff out. This is the first time I've ever done a dual person on this one. I've only ever done multi-guest on the TikTok studio. So
we're on like what, YouTube? YouTube and
no,
Rumble?
we're on Restream. So it's kind I don't know if you know what OBS is.
No.
But okay, so Restream is a streaming platform. Think of it as like the TV station, all right?
Okay.
And then it can record and then send out to all the different stations. So with the payment I have right now, it can go to 5 different stations at one time. So I've got it set to X, Twitch, Facebook, Rumble, YouTube.
Gotcha.
Now, if I paid for the next version up, that one goes like unlimited. I was using Streamlabs, which is unlimited streams, but really, since I don't do gaming, I'm not going to go probably more than 5 or 6 anyways. And Streamlabs is more set to OBS, which takes a lot of programming knowledge to really get it set up like I have right now, to get it to run like we have it set up on this one, especially with me having ultra widescreen instead of regular. It takes a lot of programming knowledge, where this one, everything's already programmed in here. So all I have to do is go into the web site and just put it in there.
How many viewers did we get? Tell me that.
Total, I think we got, right now it says we have 10, but I think we've had more than that, because I think that's what we have viewing right now is 10.
Alrighty, well, I'm gonna sign off. If you want to kick me out.
Yep. No, that's all right. You can go ahead and You can go ahead and sign out. I'll just end it. And all right. Well, everybody, thanks for tuning in. Just